So what if you could get all the brainpower of ChatGPT, Claude, Llama, you name it, but all bundled up in this super secure, enterprise-ready package? Well, that's pretty much the whole idea behind AWS Bedrock. And believe me, it's quickly becoming the go-to for how big companies are rolling out AI.
But this brings up a huge question, right? It's the one that keeps CEOs and CTOs up at night. How in the world do you use all this amazing AI tech without just, sending all your company's private data over to some third party? That's the billion-dollar question, and it's the exact problem we're going to tackle today.
All right, so Section 1, Enterprise AI's big problem. Yeah, before we jump into how Bedrock solves everything, we really need to get our heads around the problem itself. Because for a big company, using these AI models, it's not as easy as just grabbing an API key and calling it a day. The stakes are, well, they're sky high.
I mean, look at this list. This is basically a checklist of nightmares for any CIO. You've got the massive security risk of just sending your data out into the wild. Then there's the mountain of compliance rules. Think HIPAA, GDPR, SOC 2. It's a minefield. And what about vendor lock-in? What if you bet the farm on one AI provider and they fall behind? Plus, you still have to figure out how to actually connect it to all your stuff, make it scale for millions of users, and keep the costs from exploding. It is, to put it mildly, a giant headache.
So, how does Amazon even begin to untangle this mess? Well, what they've done is pretty smart. They've built this kind of shield, or an abstraction layer. And honestly, the best way to get it is with a really simple analogy. Once you hear this, it'll all just click.
Okay, so think about it like this. Trying to use all those different AI models directly, that's like trying to order dinner from 10 different restaurants at the same time. You've got 10 different websites, 10 different menus, 10 different credit card forms, 10 delivery drivers to track. It's a total mess, right? It's chaos. But AWS Bedrock, now that's like using Uber Eats for AI. You open one app, you see all the best restaurants, or in this case, all the best AI models. You order from whichever one you want, pay through one system, and everything is tracked in one place. It just brings all that complexity under one simple roof.
Okay, so keeping that Uber Eats idea in our heads, let's actually peel back the layers and see what's inside Bedrock. What are the core pieces that solve all those big enterprise problems we just talked about?
And the key thing to understand is that Bedrock's value isn't just one thing. It's really built on 3 huge pillars, and they all work together.
Pillar number 1, the model marketplace. This is so cool. You're not stuck with just one AI provider. Instead, you get this curated menu of the best models out there. You've got Anthropic's Claude, you've got Meta's Llama, models from Amazon, the list goes on. And what this means is you can pick the absolute best tool for whatever job you're doing. Maybe use Claude for some heavy-duty analysis, but then use Llama for something else. And the best part? You talk to all of them through the exact same API. One connection, tons of options.
All right, pillar number 2. And honestly, for most businesses, this is the big one. It's all about security and compliance. And the promise is simple. When you use Bedrock, your data never leaves your AWS environment. It doesn't get shipped off to Anthropic or Meta or anyone else. And this is critical. It is never used to train their big public models. Plus, it's designed from the ground up to handle things like HIPAA and GDPR.
And that brings us to pillar number 3, deep integration. Look, if your company is already running on AWS, this is a game changer. Bedrock isn't some awkward add-on. It feels like it's always been there. It plugs right into everything. You can have an AI model automatically analyze a file the second it lands in an S3 bucket. You can use your existing IAM roles to control exactly who can do what. It just fits into your workflow perfectly. I really want to double-click on this for a second. This right here, this quote, this is the single most important promise Bedrock makes. It is the fundamental reason that huge multi-billion-dollar companies in finance and healthcare are even touching this stuff. The idea that your data stays your data. Full stop. It's that simple and that powerful.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Picture a hospital. They want to use AI to find patterns in patient records. Super valuable stuff. But if they just send that data to a random API endpoint on the internet, boom, that's a gigantic HIPAA violation. We're talking millions of dollars in fines, a total disaster. But with Bedrock, the AI model does its work inside the hospital's own secure AWS account. The data never crosses the boundary, so they get all the benefits of AI with zero compliance risk. It's a huge win.
So, okay, we get it. It's powerful. It's built for big companies. But is it right for you? For your project? Let's walk through a little decision guide here. A way to figure out if Bedrock is the right tool for the job.
So who's in the sweet spot for Bedrock? Well, basically any enterprise that puts security and compliance at the top of their list. If you're in a regulated space, finance, healthcare, government, it's tailor-made for you. If your company already runs on AWS, honestly, it's a total no-brainer. And if you have big plans, you need to mix and match AI models or scale up to handle millions of requests, yeah, Bedrock was born for that.
But let's be real, it's not for everybody. On the flip side, who should maybe steer clear? Well, if you're a solo developer just hacking on a weekend project, Bedrock is probably overkill. There's a little more setup involved than just hitting a simple API. And obviously, if your company is all in on Azure or Google Cloud, you'd look at their tools first. Sometimes, for a small, simple thing, a direct API is just easier. And that's okay.
All right, but of course, AWS isn't the only game in town. So let's do a little comparison. Let's see how Bedrock stacks up against the other heavyweights in the AI platform world. And this chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? When it comes to the serious enterprise stuff, compliance and security, all the big cloud players are top-notch. AWS, Azure, Google, they've all got that covered. But where you see the big difference is right here, multi-model access. See, Azure's very focused on OpenAI's models, which is great. But Bedrock and Google's Vertex AI, they give you that Uber Eats menu, a much wider selection. So Bedrock's real strength, its core identity, is being the absolute best, most flexible AI platform for companies that are already built on AWS.
So, what's the final verdict here? It's pretty clear. For the massive number of companies whose entire business infrastructure lives on AWS, Bedrock isn't just another service. It's quickly becoming the way, the standard, default method for plugging generative AI into their operations safely and at a massive scale.
Okay, that was a lot. So let's boil it all down. If you remember nothing else, here are the 3 key takeaways. First, just think Uber Eats for AI. Bedrock gives you one secure door to a whole bunch of different AI models. Second, it's built specifically to solve the hard stuff for businesses: security, compliance, and scaling up. And third, if your company is already an AWS shop, or if you're in a highly regulated industry, Bedrock is probably your best bet.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. As AI stops being this cool new toy and becomes just a fundamental part of how business gets done, are these kinds of unified platforms, like Bedrock, going to be the only way for big companies to stay in the game? The only way to handle all the complexity and risk while still moving at the speed of AI? Something to think about.